Hi, my name is Nikhil Khedekar. Today I am going to present one of the blogs in the series of blogs and chat logs that have been presented on the topic of civil engineering. My background as a civil engineer started when I enrolled into civil engineering program at VJTI. This was back in mid 80s. So I started VJTI in 1984 and I graduated in 1988. After that, I pursued my master's, ME, Master's in Engineering at VJTI with a specialization in structural engineering. And after that, after graduating with ME, I started working for a short duration because then I had applied for higher studies in US, and then I got accepted for a PhD program at Case Western Reserve University, which I took the opportunity and came to United States. This was back in 1990, December 1990 and beginning of 1991. So it's been a while. While in US, I followed my passion in structural engineering and continued studies with structural engineering. During the course of my studies here, there was a presentation by another professor from another different university. It was on bridges, and until that point, I had not decided what I was going to pursue as a career. He presented on the bridges, and I loved it so much that I decided to follow that route. I talked to the professor. I said, "Can I change university?" And he said, "Well, at that moment, he didn't have any opening," which was fine. So I waited. I said, "I'm willing to wait." So what happened? I got another professor who was on sabbatical at this university, at my university, Case Western. He came back, and he was also a very well-known professor in the studies of reliability, and he had a project which included study of reliability of steel bridge superstructures, which was, I would consider myself lucky because he selected me as one of his graduate students to do the research, and I didn't look back since then. I've been into the bridge engineering and following bridges as my passion. Let me take a step back, okay, and let me tell you the process that I had to go through to come to US, and then I will explain a little bit more about what is happening in the US. I would consider myself a generally good student, so I knew I wanted to pursue engineering. My father is a mechanical engineer from VJTI, so naturally, and my mother had a degree in mathematics, so naturally I had good background at home in mathematics and engineering related things, technical things. So I decided that I kind of knew that I had to go follow engineering. So it wasn't a case of being passionate towards engineering or civil engineering. It was just a career path that you would naturally follow. So after 12th, I started civil engineering. I was lucky to get into VJTI. It used to be called Victoria Jubilee Technical Institute back then in 1984. Now it's called Veer Jijamata Technical Institute, and then, but initials are same. So I got into VJTI, into civil engineering program. I thought I should do electrical engineering after first, during that time. So I said, okay, let me do a year of civil engineering and let me see if I can switch. During the course of first year, I did some classes which dealt with mechanics, and also some classes which dealt with electrical engineering. And to my surprise, I didn't do well in electrical engineering classes. I did very well in mechanics and civil related classes. So I thought after first year, maybe I should just stick with civil engineering, and this is what I think I should do. So I decided to continue as a civil engineer. I was lucky that we had a good group of guys into our classes, like 70, 80 of us in the class, and it was really fun experience. Towards the final year, we had to take electives. I wasn't doing that well. I got into transportation engineering. I say I like it because I want to design transportation. I want to design the roads and do something in transportation. So I did a project in transportation, and I really liked that. But I still thought, you know what, I should be into structure because then that would be a really good combination, transportation and structural engineering. Transportation with structural, into the structural thing. So I appeared for GATE. I did not appear for GRE or anything. I was going to US was not on my horizon until that point. Final engineering, final year of BE. There were a lot of other people in our class who were applying for MS and everything, and a lot of them were in geotechnical, which was fine. I did this. I took GATE. I got a good score, so I got into AME, Master's Engineering Program in Structural Engineering at Visitia. That was really nice because the professors were very good, and I got in-depth introduction to structures. We had to do a dissertation, which I could do. It was really fun working with that, and eventually I graduated. What happened during that time is I had seen a lot of my friends come to US, and then they were telling me stories about US. This is what we are doing, this is what's happening in the university and all that stuff. I was still young, 22, something like that, 22, 23. I said, you know what, why shouldn't I apply for a PhD? But I didn't want to do a PhD. So I was talking to one of my brother-in-law who was a little senior to me, and he's a civil engineer. He was in Dubai working. He told me that, Nikhil, what you are thinking is wrong. In America, when you do PhD, a lot of research is done through private industry at the universities. They support that. So it's not all wasted. It's not all theory. You will be able to do a lot more. So I said, okay, that's great. So I applied to that. I got in, and I'm glad I made that decision because it was amazing. The whole process was amazing. It wasn't do or die for me. I said, let me start applying and let's see what happens. I took GRE, TOEFL. Those are the two exams you have to take. Okay, TOEFL is for English, test of English as a foreign language. GRE is a graduate research examination. For me, at one time, my GRE got cancelled twice. So I gave up because there was some problem that time. So I gave up on that. I started working at Tata Consulting Engineering, TCE. And during that time, I got a letter from GRE saying either you take the exam or forfeit your $40. I said, let me take the exam. So I paid for the exam. I had given some universities, and I got a letter from Case Western Reserve University. This was in October or November. Usually people don't get letters that time. But I got it, and then I started in spring, I was in Cleveland, Ohio, which in US, which is a very cold place. I came in January. The first night when I slept, the next morning I woke up, there was almost 6 inches of snow outside. It was a totally different life. I didn't have a car. I had to walk to school. I had never seen snow in my life because I grew up in Mumbai. So I had to buy winter clothes. It was a little different. I had 2 roommates I had to share my apartment with. And one of them was from Mumbai, one of them was from Hyderabad. And it was different life. We had a lot of fun though. Okay. I did my PhD thesis in AASHTO, development of reliable system factors at Case Western for steel beam bridges, and taking into account the impact of redundancy in the bridge superstructure. When you design bridges, there are beams, and failure of one beam doesn't constitute the failure of entire bridge. So there is a reserve strength into the bridge. This is what we were trying to account for. So that's what happened, and that's what my research was. So the more number of beams we should be giving while designing, should we give that weightage to this thing? to this condition. So that was what I was working towards. Let me take a step back. Before coming to US, I had to go through visa process because I forgot to mention that. The visa process in my case was quite simple because they didn't ask me many questions, and I had complete assistantship from Case Western. It is a private school. It is very expensive otherwise. Undergraduate, which is after 12th, you come 4-year program. It's very expensive, almost $25 to $50,000 per year. I was lucky at that time that for graduate studies, they offered not only to cover my tuition, but they gave me stipend every month, some $700, $800 at that time. So, so after taxes and everything, I would get 600 in my hand, and I would survive for a month, and we just continued like that. So I was on stipend for 2.5, 3 years while doing my PhD research. Anyway, so after this background, after I graduated with a PhD, that enforced me to look for a job, and coming from a university like Case Western was a very good stepping stone for me to getting a job. So naturally, I went in and got a job in bridge design. The job consisted of bridge design. I had to learn how to draw AutoCAD, drawings in AutoCAD, and then eventually MicroStation, which is what we use. And it was a helpful experience. The working life in US is very different. Working life, it's from 8 to 5. They're very stickler for the hours, office hours. They don't want to waste. They don't like wasting time. You show up at work at 8. You take a 1-hour lunch, and then you are not expected to stay much after 5, which is fine. That's how it is done here. I know in India it's a little different. I worked at this for a while. Then I decided to move back to India for some time. So during 1998, I moved back to India for a year. Well, I wouldn't say a year. I decided to move back for good. When I came here, I had one bad experience, which I will not elaborate on that. But I worked on some interesting projects, and but the company back in the US needed me. So they asked me, are you willing to come back? So then I weighed all the options, and I said, okay, I'll give it a shot again. So I went back, and that was the end of it. I did not. I got stuck over there then once after that. So anyway, after coming back, then I eventually switched to the company which I'm working with right now. It's called Resource International. It's in Columbus, Ohio, and I've been working here for 18 years. I'm a vice president for engineering and planning right now, and I oversee the design group, and I have a few bridge engineers working for me, and we work on the transportation projects. The work is very fulfilling. I've had a lot of interesting bridge projects. I also diversified myself and went into geotechnical aspect of structural engineering, like designing deep foundation, retaining walls, slope stability. So since our company has an in-house drilling crew and geotechnical lab and geotechnical engineering, I've been able to help and mentor those engineers and then kind of bridge the gap between structural and geotechnical engineering. I am also working with environmental, water resources, all different aspects of civil engineering. So the more diversified you are, the better it is. Also, do not, when you are doing your college studies, do not neglect any subject, because that's what I'm trying to tell you. Because from my personal experience, can tell you any subject that I didn't pay much attention to in college, you never get good at it, no matter how older you are getting. What you learn, some things get just stuck with you when you are in college. Okay, so I'm telling you, just be a well-rounded engineer when you want to come here. I have worked on plenty of projects, and it's been quite a fulfilling journey. I have seen a lot of civil engineers now, a lot of younger people trying to get into civil engineering. For a while, few years back, the market was a little stagnant. Now, a lot of interesting things are happening. The technology is changing, and we are growing as a profession. So, I'm encouraging you to follow civil engineering and without any hesitation. Uh, I'm also telling you the technology I'm working into smart cities, smart car, smart transportation, and that is really fascinating, is going to take off. So please be prepared to embrace the technology. Okay, hoping that when you embrace the technology, you can have a great breakthrough, and then we can embark on a different, even different journey. You may be able to have, like we have been using concrete, you may be able to invent future material which will replace concrete, or which will replace steel, or which will replace wood and all this stuff. So anything is possible. So I hope this talk motivates you, encourages you to continue to learn civil engineering, continue to perform well, and wishing you all good luck. I would also like to thank MHG Engineering and ChatLog channel for giving me this opportunity, and hoping to get your feedback, or if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you.